crowd. Everybody's going to be behind the United States there at Livestrong. Why wouldn't you go for the win? I have my doubts if we're in the 70th minute that the Americans are going to push real hard. And I don't think that there's any handshakes or anything like that under the table. Hey, you qualify, we qualify. Why don't we just, I don't think that's happening.
When did Carlos Ruiz become a construction worker on the streets of New York?
That's just my surreptitious deal voice. We got a deal here. No. I think you're right. I think if you approach that 70-minute mark, I think that things are just going to get locked down. It's going to get really boring. The ball is going to get moved around, and there may be a little bit of a handshake deal under the table there. But up until that point, I expect the U.S. to go for it. And honestly, they're at Livestrong Park. It's going to be a great environment. They need. Here's the thing. I think Klinsmann is far more pragmatic than what he says out loud. He says out loud that this is the type of team that's going to go for that. And that we're going to play the ball on the ground. We're going to do all these great things. But when it comes time and the rubber meets the road, he has a tendency to just kind of do what's pragmatic. This we know. That Jurgen Klinsmann talks a great game, but when it comes down to it and the situation is right there in front of him and he's got a battle on his hands, he's not quite as sure about going for it. Now, look, we've got a lineup here. I don't think the lineup scares anybody. In fact, I just checked the Best Soccer Show Twitter feed, at Best Soccer Show on Twitter. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're giving us your thoughts as we go along here. From Long Distance Goals, LD Goals on Twitter, post lineup reveal, DEFCON 4, went from cautiously optimistic to quietly confident. And the reasons for that, Jared, is because we've got Michael Parkhurst at left back. Carlos Bocanegra slides to the middle with Jeff Cameron. Steve Trundolo on the right side. Your midfield is Williams, Zusi. I'm sorry, give me a second here. I'm trying to get
Bradley and Johnson.
Bradley and Johnson, who you would want to start. After Eddie Johnson's performance in Antigua and Barbuda, we're okay, I guess, with him in the midfield. And Dempsey,
there's a part of me though that so first of all, if I was going to put a lineup out there today, it would probably look a lot like this. Okay, it's honestly probably the best thing that Jurgen Klinsmann can kind of put out there right now. But here's the problem: this lineup made one shot on goal. For the whole game? I think it was last game. So there's a part of me that's like, it may be the best lineup that can be put out there, but is it really something that's going to get goals and it's going to make it go for a win?
You mean, wait, one shot on goal? They scored 2 goals. How could there be one shot on goal?
From run and play. I'm sorry. From run and play. I apologize.
Okay. Well, both of those were from the run and play, right? Or was the second goal from a free kick? I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember here. We are taking your phone calls on this lineup. 201-430-2378 is the phone number. If you want to get in, if you want to give us your DEFCON situation, I think most people are probably coming down on the cautiously optimistic portion of the fan base at this point. Why would you be worried? Why would you be overly concerned about this, Jared?
I guess I'm not. I don't think I am. I'm struggling with how I feel about this. There's a part of me that says this is the lineup that can get it done. And there's a part of me that says, is this the lineup that can get it done the way it's going to make me feel comfortable? But if there's anything I've kind of realized about the last couple of days, I need to stop worrying about feeling comfortable and just make sure that the U.S. secures its spot in the next round.
It's not like he's holding anything back necessarily here. Area code 765. Who's this?
This is Joe. How you doing?
Hey, Joe. What's up?
At first, when I heard you afterwards, I was a little disappointed in you. You being the journalist that you are, I was like, when everyone else is jumping off the bridge, I expected you to step back a step.
Okay, so
then you gave me back my faith on Sunday. So.
Oh, okay. Well, look, the Friday night show. I got this from Phil Shane as well on Twitter. That Jared, you saw this, right? Phil tweeted that I was the one. I was the one jumping off the cliff. I was the one going kind of nuts about firing Jurgen Klinsmann, and you were the voice of reason. And that's a role reversal for us. I will say this: Friday night, it was all very raw. It was very, very raw, and I tend to be more reactionary in the immediate aftermath of the game than I would be a couple hours later. And you're right. By the time we talked on Sunday, Joe, I was calmed down. I had kind of put some perspective on this. I've thought about over the weekend, the last couple of days, how much those conditions played into the way the United States came out of that game in Antigua and Barbuda. I wanted it to be better. It wasn't overly impressive, but they got the job done. So what do you make of this lineup tonight? Are you cautiously optimistic like everybody else?
Yes. I feel like with him, look, first of all, I was in the Air Force. So his raw attitude is it's a little foreign to me, obviously. Never quite dealt with that kind of leadership. But I feel that with him changing the style, and it's still changing, it's still a thing in progress, it's kind of more like a zombie apocalypse. You can't kill them all. You're not going to destroy everybody. Sometimes you just got to survive.
Right.
And we survived. So we got to make it to the next round, you know?
Okay, so you believe in survival first and everything else, all that, the extra turn the lights on and get something something more proactive going. All that can wait. Right now, the job is to get qualified for the Hex.
I think it's a little of both. As long as we survive, everything else is a plus. And I feel that he's still changing us slightly with the limited roster that we have. And the one thing I have to say is I love our underdogs. I love EJ coming back. And do you believe in magic? Because thanks to Mr. Magic Man Gordon, I do again. So thanks. Have a great show, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it with you.
All right. Enjoy the game, Joe. Alan Gordon is magic. It has caught on to the point that we have some people asking for a drop for Gordo, Jared, and I know that you may have let people know we'll be thinking about that. Are we thinking about that?
I mean, I think when there's someone magic like that, there's something that's so topical that it's demanded by the fans. Maybe we got to come up with something. I mean, I got some things stirring where I got some ideas of what it might be, but I don't know if we decided on one yet.
Area code 201-430-2378 is our phone number. Get in on this lineup. Give us your thoughts on how you feel, how confident you are going in against Guatemala. We know here's one thing I know, and maybe I'm testing fate, and I'll knock on wood, even though I don't have any fear of this. We know it's not going to be Canada and Honduras, Jared, and I hate to come down on our Canadian brethren who took an epic stomping at the hands of Honduras.
So close to getting into the Hex. All they needed was a draw. I believe it was away, correct? It was, away in Honduras. And it's a tough place to get the job done. It was always going to be tough. No Di Rosario. O'Shan obviously wasn't going to be playing as well. It's going to be tough for the Canadians. And they took an 8-1 drubbing. That's a really, really tough one. But two things I want to talk about with regards to the lineup and the roster for tonight that I'm really excited. I guess two of the storylines I'm really excited to watch over the course of this game. Number one, Graham Susie getting the start at home in what's going to be an amazing environment. I'm stoked to watch this guy play. I'm stoked to watch how much energy he comes out for this game. I think it's going to really be a positive thing on the field. I think you could be seeing one of the best games you've seen from Graham Susie with the national team. Secondly, there is a lot of pressure. It's a World Cup qualifier. He needs to get used to it. Secondly, the other thing I'm excited about, Joe Corona on the bench tonight. Does that mean that we might see... There's a chance we could see Joe Corona for the first time, maybe coming off the bench tonight.
That would be exciting. I'm a fan of Joe Corona. If this game has a place for him, I would love to see him in this game. I will have to see how tight it is towards the end. It's going to be it's not going to be easy to just take apart Guatemala. I have confidence that they'll get the job done, but I don't know how far out on a ledge I want to go with, a dominant performance. And obviously if you're way up, it helps to be way up if you're going to bring in a young player like Joe Corona and get him his first senior team experience in this kind of environment. Area code 541, who's this? You there? Hello? Area code 541.
Yeah. Hey guys, I was wondering what you guys thought of Hercules Gomez starting tonight and not giving Sasha Kleshkin a chance.
Sasha Kleshkin, does he have a role in this particular team? I mean, you could argue that he and Zusi can kind of do the same job. I think Zusi's better with a cross than Sasha Kleshkin, which is probably why Zusi gets the start. As for Hercules Gomez, Jared, I mean, we're big fans of Herc. We gave him a hard time after Friday with zero confidence, coming out missing a couple of good chances. How do you feel about Herc getting that start next to
I think first of all, Eddie Johnson showed Klinsmann something he wanted in that last game. He was able to take guys on from the outside, get into the box late. I think he liked what he got from Eddie Johnson, so that wasn't going to change too much. So the second thing is then, if you pull Hercules Gomez out, the natural replacement for him isn't Sasha Kleshkin because you're going to keep Eddie Johnson in the midfield. It's going to be Alan Gordon. And I am still a person that feels that Alan Gordon is not a He's a 60-minute player. He's been that way his whole career. I watched him for years in LA. 60th minute, gets subbed out. He never seemed to be a 90-minute conditioned player. I'm sorry if I apologize if I'm wrong on this. This is me watching Alan Gordon for a number of years in person. I never thought he was a 90-minute player. So I think that's one of the reasons why you give Herculez Gomez. Herculez Gomez will give you everything he has for about 70 minutes or so. Then Alan Gordon comes in if need be and just works his magic.
So you're offending all of those Alan Gordon fans out there.
Alan Gordon is a great player this season, okay? But doesn't mean that all of a sudden he's become a 90-minute fit player. He just never really has seemed that to me.
No. He obviously is effective in spurts. I mean, he's kind of been the super sub for. I mean, that's been his role for the Earthquakes this year. That's how he scored all these goals. That's why his goals per minute number is so high, so ridiculously high, way above Chris Wondolowski's, because he comes in and he plays 25 minutes and he scores a goal a game, and that that obviously drives that average up. Here's on the Best Soccer Show Twitter feed. Taylor Twellman said it. Parkhurst and Johnson on the left side. Where's the width? Do you see a problem there with Parkhurst and Eddie Johnson in the midfield there? Do you see a problem with width?
Wait. Where's the width? Where would the width have been if Carlos Bocanegra was there? You're going to get more width with Parkhurst than Bocanegra. The player is not on this roster to give you width on that side of the field. It's just not there. Breck Shea's not there. Chris Pontius isn't there. I mean, anyone that's going to push wide isn't. Fabian Johnson's not there. Those players aren't here. So you got to at least try to get the most you can of what you have. I think Parkhurst does give you the most you could possibly have width-wise at the left back position.
You're right. There is not another obvious candidate to step into left back that's going to give you attacking width. It's just not. That guy's not on the roster. He's not healthy. He was on the roster. He's not healthy. So you put in Michael Parkhurst, who is going to be he's fleeter of foot slightly than Carlos Bocanegra. I mean, obviously Carlos had some issues in Antigua and Barbuda. And again, the conditions were a problem, but he just wasn't. He's just not made for that position at the international level anymore, especially when you have a team with speed coming at him. So if you make that switch, you want Bocanegra on the field for his experience and for his pure defending ability, but he's better in the middle. And you got Parkhurst. It's the best of a bad lot. And you and I argued for Parkhurst to start on Friday night, and it didn't happen. They got burnt once for it. I give Jurgen Klinsmann credit for making the only adjustment that's obvious, and that's Michael Parkhurst for Carlos Bocanegra, and you pull Clarence Goodson out of the team.
Yeah, once again, guys, you can get in 201-430-2378. I do have another Twitter comment, this one from Eric Walcott, and I read this one because there's something I like about this. Right now, I'm quote-unquote irrational confidence guy, still hoping we'll break out and destroy somebody and thinking it can happen. I think, when he says that, I think of that guy that when he has like 2 or 3 drinks in him, thinks he can pick up on any chick at the bar. You know that guy?
Yeah, no, that guy. Well, see, but that guy who has 2 or 3 drinks and thinks he can get any girl in the bar, he also tends to be overconfident, sober guy. The guy who walks into the room and is like, everybody look at me. I'm here now. Let's all have a party. Loud, completely awkward socially, but doesn't realize it. So he's just constantly like high-fiving people and backslaps and just that guy. So I like that guy because he's hilarious, but I don't know that I want to be friends with that guy.
Well, I mean, that's how he feels tonight. This guy's not worried at all. He thinks that we're just going to come in, take care of business. I hope that's the case. The track record against Guatemala shows that should be the case. The U.S.'s track record at home and World Cup qualifiers and against Guatemala in particular is great, but for some reason, I'm not there. I'm not on the other side of the fence. I'm not on the other side as well where I'm panicking. I'm just not quite to where this guy is.
It's all about Friday and the recency effect. They have never lost to Guatemala at home in World Cup qualifying. They've drawn once. Area code 304. Who's this?
Hey guys, this is Matt.
Hey, what's up, Nat?
Hey, I got a question. I know we need to either tie or win to advance to the Hex, but what happens if we lose? Are we not advancing?
If we lose, I believe we need help.
I think because he needs a three goal differential win on the other game, I believe.
Yeah, Jamaica has to win big in order for the U.S. to qualify for the Hex by losing. And look,
but it shouldn't come to that.
And I don't even want to talk about it. I'm sorry. I know that it's a legitimate question now, but I don't even want to talk about it because it shouldn't come to that. Like you said, they have it all in front of them. You handle your business. You want to qualify for the Hex? Do you deserve to qualify for the Hex? Go win this game. Beat Guatemala at home. in a great environment, in a great soccer stadium, in one of the biggest symbols of soccer's growth over the past 20 years is Livestrong Sporting Park. You want to make an American statement, make it here. I mean, again, neither one of us are supremely confident that they'll go out and thump Guatemala, but we at least have this belief that they know what the job is. I have to buy that Jurgen Klinsmann can get them up for this. And I have to buy that the players might not even need Jurgen Klinsmann to get them up.
Here's what needs to happen for the U.S. Clint Dempsey needs to figure out who he is in this team tonight. He needs to figure out what his role is, and the U.S. needs to find a way to get him the ball often and early. Clint Dempsey in the last game was absent, and I don't know how much that is to him. Obviously, it looked like Antigua Barbuda had a very good game plan of pressuring him early as soon as he got the ball, fouling him if need be, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that in the same game here. They realize who the biggest threat on the field is. It's Clint Dempsey, but the U.S. has to find a way to get him the ball quickly so he can get it off his feet quickly. They need to be making that run as soon as they distribute the ball to him to open up space so he has someone to play it to. If they can find that little 1-2 touch type of passing that Clint Dempsey's so good at, I think that they can really unlock this defense.
I think we've got a call in the air. 909, who's this?
Hey, my name's Andy.
What's up, Andy?
California.
Whoa. He say 909?
909, yep.
That's me, baby.
Oh, God. So we're just going to have like some kind of area code low fest.
Okay, so the most exciting thing about this game for me is that it's at Livestrong Park, which I think is kind of, you know the atmosphere is going to be pro-American. It's going to be nuts. And, thinking about places like Azteca for Mexico and for England, they have Wembley Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Is Livestrong Park have the potential to be that for America, or do you think there's another place, maybe Seattle? What do you guys think about that?
Okay, look, Jared's may have come up with this theory in the past, and I understand that there's some validity to it based on the fact it's a new stadium. It's it's the right size to make sure you fill it up with American fans. All of those things. This is a big country. You're not going to lock in on one place, and when you need to win a friendly, I guess Livestrong might be first on your list.
I'm not saying you lock in on just one place, but there should be a place for those World Cup qualifier games where that's the game that's pivotal, and that's the game you play there. The ones that Columbus Crew gets. And I apologize to the Columbus Crew fans out there, the people in Columbus that might be listening to the show. You've done an amazing job for the U.S. national team, but I think it may have outgrown that stadium.
I think that maybe the crowd has evolved, and I don't know what it's going to be like at Livestrong tonight. I assume it's going to be raucous, and I assume it'll be nice. But
if they lose tonight, you won't hear me talk about it. I can tell you that right now.
There's all but Columbus, maybe things have moved beyond Columbus, except for that Mexico game. I mean, I think until the Americans prove they can't beat Mexico in Columbus, you keep that game there. You just keep doing it. Area code 619. Who's this?
Hey, I'm doing Enrique.
Hey, what's up, Enrique?
I'm sort of excited. I finally guessed Klinsmann lineup. And hopefully this attacking soccer that he's talking about, we're able to show on a better field, on like you guys were talking about KC. KC sounds like a pretty good home.
Yeah.
And hopefully the Dempsey, I know Dempsey is like to be the playmaker. He's off. His first touch sometimes is a little bit off, and that's a couple times during the qualifiers. So hopefully we're going to see an attack.
That's what you were saying, Jared, that Dempsey's touch is crucial here, and you have to get him involved in the game almost immediately in order for him to settle in and have the kind of impact we know he can have. He was pretty much invisible during Antigua and Barbuda, right? I mean, you just didn't see him involved in much, and I know that's partly because of the defensive stance that Antigua and Barbuda were taking. I don't know that Guatemala's not going to come out and play with the Americans, not on the road. So they're gonna try to bunk.
I think they may do more than what you're thinking. Now, one thing that speaks against that, though.
Marco Papa.
I know, and that's what I was going to get to. That Marco Papa, the guy that technically killed the U.S. in the first leg, didn't start there either. Comes in the second half. The game is completely different for Guatemala once Marco Papa gets on the field. I'm really surprised that they've chosen to once again go with that same tactic. Now, obviously, it worked for them last time, but if you don't think the U.S. is ready for Marco Papa as a sub in this game again, you're crazy. They should be ready for him and what the effect he can have on the game.
All right. Well, apparently it's a 5-man midfield from Guatemala, meaning they're going to try to bog down everything in the middle. This is on the Americans again to figure out how to break down a defense. Area code 484. Who's this?
Hey, it's Mike, guys.
Hey, Mike.
I hate to put too much emphasis on the field for the debacle last game, but I got to say I'm feeling a lot better just the fact that Kansas City's field is going to be so much better maintained. I think we're going to be sitting a lot easier tonight.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you're right, Mike, that it's you don't want to make it into an excuse, because it's ultimately it's not. They should have been more comfortable in that game. But at the same time, when you have this plan, okay, we're going to go knock the ball around a little bit. We're going to, there is no width on this field, so we can't really get it out wide. I mean, we have to really work to create space wide. We're going to go knock it around, and then the field does not cooperate. Now, again, they should have expected that. But again, passing is the basic move of any soccer game, Jared. If you can't pass, you can't win. And there's no other way to pass except to hit the ball on the ground and hope it goes to the right place.
So there is another way to pass. You can pass it in the air and hope it goes to the right place.
Again, but that is passing the ball through the air is obviously less effective than passing the ball on the ground. It's less accurate, for one thing.
Tell that to the women's national team.
No, look, you can play the long ball. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just basic passes from your defender to your midfielder to your, up the wing, playing an overlap. All of these things, just basic passing moves, you have to be able to do them if you're going to be effective at all.
You have to be able to do them if you want to effectively use a player like Clint Dempsey. Is he your best player on the field? Yes. If you're going to need him, who's your second best player? Michael Bradley. Who else also needs that same style of play? Both those guys want that ball on the ground. That's where they're effective. And I don't think, unless Alan Gordon's in the lineup, you even have that player up top that wants the ball in the air. So it's imperative that the U.S. finds a way to play this ball on the ground. Now, granted, Antigua-Barbuda, maybe they should have changed the game, bypassed all that crappy mud in the midfield and gone long ball earlier. You can make that case. But in this game, on this field, in this park, with these players, it needs to be on the ground and trying to win that way.
Lots of response to the question of whether or not Livestrong should be a U.S. men's national team bastion. Maybe not the national stadium. You're not making that claim, but you are saying that Livestrong has the potential to be something special, to take a special place in kind of the hierarchy of stadiums. I mean, we've used RFK to great effect several times, but depending on the team, you're going to be at a disadvantage there in terms of fans. I mean, you're not going to play. If you play Honduras or El Salvador at RFK Stadium, Jared, what kind of crowd are you going to get? I mean, there are certain places in the middle of the country make it more difficult for those fans.
I've made peace with the fact that the HDC will never host a meaningful game for anyone against CONCACAF. I've made peace with that, and it shouldn't, to be honest with you. It really shouldn't.
You're gonna get the January friendly, and that's about the best HDC is gonna do. Maybe somebody off the beaten path. I don't know. Let's see. If this is from Derek. I agree with Rio Tinto, one of the best places you can play in the U.S. So is Rio Tinto on that list? Is that one of those?
It definitely gets cold there. I mean, if you want to play the elements, that's a place that does it. Rio Tinto has had I think it had one chance. I think it was a year and a half ago. Great game, great atmosphere. For right now though, I think Livestrong Park has that mystique about it though. For some reason, Livestrong Park is the mix of.
You haven't even been.
No. What I'm saying is that we just take for example, we had Brian Strauss on here 2 weeks ago talking about everything that Livestrong Park is doing right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Rio Tinto has had a lot of great elements, but is anyone saying that Rio Tinto is doing everything that Livestrong Park is doing in terms of fan involvement, in terms of inclusion?
Does that matter? You're bringing in 20,000 people to cheer for your national team in a one-off game. Depending on the situation, can be a crucial qualifier. You want the best home crowd advantage. I don't know that it matters whether or not you can bring up stuff on your smartphone. Oh, look, I got my smartphone out and I'm texting into the jump.
I'm saying if all other things are equal between Rio Tinto and Livestrong Park, I'd rather go something that seems has a really good fan experience, and that way the fans will be more into it. Isn't that part of the reason you have a home atmosphere? Is so the fans are innately a big part of it? And isn't if they're having a better time at the arena, isn't that going to play into it?
But you're stretching the fans should go wherever the game is. First of all, let's just lay that out there on the table, because I get tired of making excuses for American fans when it comes to national team games. Why didn't you show up? Why are there 100,000 Mexicans in the stadium? I don't know, because you didn't show up. So that right there is a problem that has to be overcome. Now you can place the game and accentuate that advantage that you might have with U.S. men's national team fans showing up in bigger numbers. But I don't know that, look, all the modern conveniences that Livestrong has, that makes it a great stadium. It makes it a marvel of the modern era of stadiums. It makes it a big deal when it comes to American soccer. But I don't think it should have anything to do with whether or not you put a national team game there just because they have the bells and whistles.
What should it have to do with?
It should have everything to do with, you maximize your advantage. Whatever. If Livestrong is the best place because it's the best place, not because it's got fancy technology or because the seats are slightly angled at the exactly right.
Okay, what does Columbus Crew have going for it that Livestrong Park doesn't have? Weather. That might be the only thing, and only a few months of the year is it probably really worse.
Okay, no, right.
So what does Columbus Crew have going for it that Livestrong Park doesn't, other than Mystique, what I was just talking about?
Right. And Mystique matters, I think, and that's why I'm going to say you don't take that mantle away from Columbus until it's proven that it's no longer there. That Mystique is gone. When that Mystique is gone, all right, fine. But I just think that and I don't know that it's a deserved or not deserved. It's what the players feel. You want to put the players in the most comfortable environment. Maybe that's Livestrong. Maybe all that technology stuff you're talking about that the fans get. I know that there's a lot of that. The locker room at Livestrong is stunning. I've seen pictures. It's absolutely stunning. Maybe that helps the players.
It's like where the X-Men get dressed.
I don't think I've ever seen where I'm not on that.
It's how I imagine what the X-Men locker room would look like.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, it's kind of the whole discussion is kind of a non-starter because there are so many different places to play. You should take into account all of the variables and decide, which gives you the best chance to win.
Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a pick your poison stadium style, and I'm going to give you a couple options. You tell me what the better ones are.
All right. Go.
Livestrong Park or Seattle?
For what kind of game? What is this?
World Cup qualifier. Let's imagine this game right now.
Livestrong
Park, Seattle.
Okay, does Seattle have grass?
It's exactly as it is right now. You know that.
Then I'm saying Livestrong Sporting Park.
Livestrong Sporting.
Go ahead.
No, you.
No. I was going to say that if Seattle had grass, because I know that
ifs, you can't do ifs. Seattle does not put grass down unless Brazil is coming to town or Manchester United is coming to town. They don't care about their U.S. national team.
I've already said Livestrong wins in that battle. I'm just saying that if Seattle had grass and I knew that they were going to pack the place with 60,000 pro U.S. men's national team fans, then I would go with Seattle. But that's not what they have. So in the case right now, the situation right now, I'd rather go to Livestrong for an important game than to C-Link or Clink or whatever they're calling it now. That's where I would fall. What for you? I'm assuming
Livestrong Park. I go Livestrong I think Seattle would be a great place for you. I think the lack of grass, just like you, means it's not going to be anytime soon going to be taken seriously as a candidate.
We've gotten off course here. This is supposed to be about Guatemala. This is the United States going into a must point game, a must result game with their hexagonal lives on the line. Is Jurgen Klinsmann a good enough coach to get this job done, Jared? Yes or no?
Yes, just good enough to get this job done. This job tonight, get done. I think after this, if you're being honest, you need to kind of look and see if Jurgen Klinsmann's the right guy for the rest of the way. I'm not saying fire him. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you just need to really kind of look and say, can he make enough strides in terms of roster development, pool development, and having the right guys on the field so that in 6 months from now, when we have to start playing meaningful games again, he can be ready for those.
I think that if you come out of this game, and again, I am fairly confident. I was pretty confident in Antigua and Barbuda. I think I was with Ivis. I said 3-0 or something right in that area. When we're coming up to it tonight, I mean, I'll go ahead and give my prediction right now. I'm saying 3-1. I mean, that's maybe I'm stretching to even say 3 because I'm not supremely confident they'll create 3 goals, and I'm not confident that they can keep a clean sheet. So, but I'm going
to go 1-1.
Wow. Okay. If it's 1-1, and I guess this leads me right into it. If it's 1-1, what kind of review process are we talking about for Jurgen? He's got to be kind of walked up against the wall, right? And said, all right, look, here's the deal. We're not happy with where this is. You qualified for the hexagonal. There's got to be some kind of hell to pay for this, right? I mean,
you'll never know about it if there is. You'll never hear about it if it is.
The last time the United States went in was in this round of World Cup qualifying and didn't have it sewn up before the last game was 2000. Was for the 2002 World Cup. The last time that they needed to get a result in the last game of this round was 12 years ago. Is this good?
On the flip side of that, wasn't that also the most successful World Cup that the U.S. has ever had?
I don't think that one has anything to do with the other. Your qualifying campaign,
it's the same player pool.
No, sure it is. Sure it is. I'd love to see, who was used in the run up to 2002, Bruce Arena used in the run up to 2002 for that qualifying campaign, and whether or not he used the exact same guys to go to the World Cup. I don't think so. Obviously, this is a process and it is an evolution, but you got to qualify. And if you don't qualify, there need to be repercussions. The Deuce Face is back in the States. We promised a Deuce Face for our South Dakota listener. Was he South Dakota?
I think he's North Dakota, and he was defending South Dakota.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. The Dakotas rising up together. But the Deuce Face is back in the crowd. That's from that was down in Antigua and Barbuda. I believe our friend Melissa came up with that or printed that and passed it along. I don't think she's in Kansas City.
Melly?
Yeah, Melly is the creator.
That is great. I want to know how they output that face so big and how long it took her to cut it all out because it looks great.
She went to. How did she get it to Antigua and Barbuda? What did she?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you take it as like a print and then you mount it on cardboard when you get there or something. I don't know.
That's probably what it is. It was probably rolled or something, and yeah, or maybe they lasted to the top of the plane. Could be a lot of different ways. All right, so we're approaching. I think kickoff's about 7:15. If you guys have thoughts, you want to get back in 201-430-2378. Give us your outlook. Give us a prediction. We'll take a break. We'll reset a little bit. Jared and I will take a deep breath. Back down off of your Livestrong hype. Jared, you're such a fanboy for Livestrong. Best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason and Jared back on the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV, NASNradio.com. We are streaming right now ahead of USA-Guatemala from Kansas City.
I'm sorry, that new intro music right there is so Night at the Roxbury dance style. Like, you got to start moving your head.
No, look.
I'm just saying, that's how I feel when I hear it. I want to dance like those guys.
You just want to, all right, you want to be Chris Kattan, or do you want to be
Will Ferrell?
Which one are you? I don't, do I really have to pick one? You want to be the dumb one, or you don't want to be the dumb one? We had a repeat caller in the break. I told him he can't call in twice, but he brought up his point was that the United States has a psychological block when it comes to big games, and I think for the most part that's true. But there are a couple of occasions in the past, Jared, where the United States has taken care of their business. 10 minutes to kick off, by the way. So we'll walk you up, about a minute out. But they beat Spain in the I know it's not, Confederations Cup, not that big of a deal. They beat Spain in the Confederations Cup. They managed to play England to a draw. They give a goal very early.
There's no pressure for the U.S. in that Spain game, though. I mean, you're not expected to beat Spain. The pressure's not necessarily on them.
All right, so the point, the psychological block has to do with must-win games in, important must-win games.
I think it's when the onus is upon the U.S. to outplay their opponent and should be the better team on the field. I think that's where they kind of struggle to meet those expectations of being the team that should dominate another team in CONCACAF.
Here we are sitting here doing the show, the pregame show. ESPN2 is on the air with Alexi and Bob Lee and Casey Keller, and we hear the atmosphere is fantastic. We can't hear it, obviously. Can't wait to hear it. I do want to correct the previous discussion about the Deuce Face. The Deuce Face belongs to Chris Howdy from the American Outlaws DC chapter. Melissa is a member of that as well, and she was taking pictures. So they were there together in Antigua and Barbuda. But Chris Howdy deserves full credit for the Deuce Face, which made like every single blog on the face of the planet, pretty much. Everybody loves the Deuce Face. You guys want to get in?
You know, it's funny that we haven't taken into account. Deuce Face sounds like the face you make when you. I mean, is that maybe that's Clint's Deuce Face?
Oh, how did that not occur to me?
I don't know.
Why did that not occur to me?
I mean, if you can have an O face, you can have a Deuce Face, right?
Yeah. Well, an O face would be a Gucci and Yewus?
I don't want to know what is. No, I think how scary his regular face is.
Yeah. Well, I guess the O face would be the stare down.
Oh yeah, on Jared Borghetti.
Yeah, on Borghetti. Area code 541. Who's this?
Casey, hey guys, I'm going to go with the 3-1 prediction tonight for the U.S. I think Eddie Johnson, Dempsey, and Michael Bradley will score, and we'll get into the round of 16, the Hex and regroup and start off well next year.
I love positive.
You feel comfortable going into the Hex though?
Not really. I don't think Jurgen Klinsmann has done a very good job and stuff, but at this point, just get the 3 points, and then maybe the quality of our soccer will get better in the Hex and stuff.
Okay. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily blind faith because they would have some time.
I got to give him credit on one thing though. It should get better because you should have Landon Donovan back. You should have someone like Breck Shea back. You should have Josie Altidore. Hopefully, Josie Altidore has found his way back into this team by then. There's positive things to look at going forward.
There are positive things to look out going forward, but we assumed that Landon Donovan would be back in this team well before this. Well before he's out again. We thought, he
was playing a week ago. He was playing a week ago.
No, I know, but it's been a year, and every single time we think Landon Donovan's back in the team, it's going to work his way in. It's going to be fine. He'll figure Klinsmann will have his best team on the field, and we'll get this going. It doesn't happen. So you better be prepared. Excuse me. You better be prepared for the possibility that there are more injuries, that there are other guys missing, that maybe Clint Dempsey. I mean, knock on wood.
Which is why I want to see the development of Chris Pontius, because when I think of Landon Donovan light, I think of Chris Pontius. I think of the things that Chris Pontius brings to the game is very similar to the things that Landon Donovan brings to the game, probably just not as polished.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. That's fair. Some other thoughts on the Best Soccer Show Twitter account. This a lot about the Livestrong Sporting Park, but we've got a couple of guys saying this is from Raging Soccer. Don't think it's the same, but the difference in atmosphere is pretty striking. Might make up for the minimal difference. I think they're talking about the difference between Columbus and Kansas City. I'm reading these without really. I should have probably screened them first. No idea what they're talking about.
But trust our listener. Trust our listeners.
Sure. They're out for anthems going on.
I did get threatened by one Real Salt Lake fan, a guy that follows me online, Messed Up Brian. He says, "Come to Rio T. We'll show you engaged fans."
Look, that's the thing. I don't know that it's fair for us to judge either one of these places without having in there. Now, you get something on TV. I've been impressed with Rio Tinto on several occasions. They back that place for RSL games, and those fans are engaged and they're loud and everything else. But, it just seems that maybe Kansas City's on a slightly different level.
Listen, I don't mean to say that the fans aren't bringing it. I'm just saying I think the stadium brings it in terms of the. And here's the thing. When you think about what a home field advantage should be, it should be, quote unquote, a cauldron. If Kansas City can meet that expectation of what they've chosen to name their fan section, if it can become a cauldron, then that's where it should be, to be honest with you.
It's the cauldron because they were never mind.
Whatever. The analogy still works.
Okay, the roof helps obviously keep all that atmosphere in at Livestrong. All right, let's get out of here. Kickoff's imminent. We will be back at halftime. Make sure you write down the phone number 201-430-2378. We'll be taking your calls at half, and we'll be back for the post game. Talk to you guys. Then. Go USA. Vamos USA. 3-1. Jared, we happy with that?
Is that your prediction?
You said 1-1. You're such a buzzkill. Best Soccer Show. We'll talk to you guys then. Bye. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois back. Halftime, best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. So, that didn't start too well. Phone lines are open, 201-430-2378 if you want to get in with halftime thoughts. It didn't start well. El Pescadito made himself, made his presence known pretty early, Jared, and we got some nervy moments. U.S. settled in, 3 goals, 1 from Carlos Bocanegra off a set piece, 2 from Clint Dempsey. My 3-1 prediction is already in the books, and we haven't played a second half yet. Area code 972, who's this?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will.
Hey, Will.
Hey, so it's one thing and it's not another, huh? I guess we're more concerned about the attack and the midfield, and then it opens our eyes that, oh, we got defensive problems too.
Well, there are some defensive problems, and those will have to be sorted out. It seems to have settled down quite a bit. There have been a couple of mistakes since the initial Carlos Ruiz goal, Jared. But I think we've got to feel pretty good about this right now.
I'm feeling okay about it. Yeah, I wish that it was a little bit more tidy at the back. I think a part of that issue is, and I don't think this is the issue on the actual goal that Guatemala scored, but I think a few times Michael Parkhurst is pushing much more further than Carlos Bocanegra ever came close to in the Antigua Barbuda game, and I think that's helping the U.S. attack immensely. If you could think about the success Eddie Johnson's having really on both sides, but in particular on the left, Michael Parkhurst is making a lot of room for him, putting him in good positions. I think they're exploiting a little bit of that on the counterattack, but more than anything, the communication between Jeff Cameron and Bocanegra needs to be better in terms of corralling Carlos Ruiz.
Yeah, I mean, look, Will, you want to focus on the negative. That's fine. It's fair. They did give up an early goal. It did look bad for a little while, but let's focus on the positive.
No. No, I'm not trying to focus on the negative. I'm thoroughly happy to finally see an attack.
Yes.
Actually, a midfield that's putting passes together and servicing the ball into the box. It's like you can't win-win. You notice that you get one thing that you enjoy, and then you see another thing. You're like, oh, great. Well, then we got defensive issues. But no, thoroughly, I love the attack. Yeah, I can care less about the defense for right now, but I just wanted to see an attack.
The goal is the point of the game is to outscore your opponent, and as long as they're doing that, we really can't complain too much. I think it's interesting if somebody's got a camera on Jurgen Klinsmann. I would love to see his range of emotions from the beginning of that half when Ruiz scores the goal to halftime when and Dempsey's second and the fist pumping and everything else. Area code 541. Who's this?
Hey guys, this is Casey. All I can say is I think Eddie Johnson is back to the 07 Eddie Johnson, and I can see why Graham Zusi has shown me the shit for KC. He lifting great crosses, great both feet. And I don't understand why Klinsmann doesn't try Maurice Sadhu and Jeff Cameron at center back like they did against Mexico. I mean, for the future and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sold. I don't think either one of us, Jared, are sold on Maurice Sadhu as a center back. That's not a future I really look forward to if that's something that's coming down the pipe. But the Eddie Johnson question. When we talked about this on Sunday, we said 2007 Eddie Johnson, 2012. I'm starting to round back, and I've watched enough Sounders games to know how effective he is for the Sounders. But I'm coming around to this idea that maybe he's 2012. Team focused, working within the concept, but he's still got the old Eddie Johnson stuff going on.
I'll say right now, how many stepovers have you seen tonight? A lot, and they're actually good stepovers, things that are actually making space, making defenders bite, and he's beating guys on the dribble. That is got to be what Klinsmann's idea was for Eddie Johnson by putting him in the position he is. And credit to Klinsmann 100% for seeing something that a lot of us didn't see, and the fact that Eddie Johnson could have success in that part of the field.
Yes, absolutely. I think for all the criticism we've leveled at Jurgen Klinsmann, and he certainly deserves a lot of it, you have to give him credit for the things he's done right. And one of those things he's done right is slide Eddie Johnson into this team in a place that none of us really thought he could be effective enough to make a big difference. And he's kind of been a revelation. I mean, I granted, the competition that he's been playing against is not the best. And who knows what'll happen down the road when you have to play Honduras and Mexico and those kind of teams. But for the time being, there's a spark there. There's something about Eddie Johnson playing in midfield and playing wide. There was questions about the width in this team. I saw a lot of width out there. They were getting the ball wide all the time, and I know that's partly Guatemala trying to shut down the middle of the field, but that's good to see. And
credit to Michael Parkhurst and Steve Cherundolo for feeding those wing players and putting them in good positions. And first of all, Steve Cherundolo on the goal, Clint Dempsey's goal when the Eddie Johnson first time cross, beautiful ball, curving ball into space, into the run of Eddie Johnson. And here's one thing that the U.S. has had a lot of success with so far tonight: early balls into the box. If you think about that goal, Clint Dempsey's first one, Eddie Johnson, first time cross into the behind the back line, across the face of the keeper. Hercules Gomez had a couple for good first time balls in there. I like that, the lack of hesitancy to just initiate an attack and try to make something out of nothing. Great game plan so far for the U.S.
Right. The couple of guys I think worth pointing out, Michael Bradley makes a huge difference. Makes it a magnificent difference in the middle of the midfield for the United States, playing his ass off as he always does. And Hercules Gomez, I don't think the man is human. Watching him put pressure on Guatemala's back line consistently, running. Now, we talked about his lack of confidence in front of goal, and I don't know that it's gone or anything, but what he gives this team in terms of work rate at the front is pretty astounding, and you can understand why he continues to start for Jurgen Klinsmann despite the miss in Antigua and Barbuda. Area code 925, who's this?
Hey, this is Bryson from San Francisco. How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
So what was up with the dive from Carlos Ruiz after the goal? Doesn't he realize that he doesn't need to dive after he scores?
I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like he went in for a celebration at the signboards and hit his hand or shoulder.
I think it's just his momentum kind of put him into the signboards and he stubbed his thumb a bit.
Look, we
at least he did it off the field.
You knew that Carlos Ruiz was the most dangerous player on the field for Guatemala. It's been that way forever, for a million years. You've got to keep an eye on him. You cannot let him get in behind you. He's not the fastest player in the world, but what he does know how to do,
He's not the fastest player in the world. And how far that ball was played in front of Carlos Ruiz. Any fault on Tim Howard for not advancing on that ball?
I think that maybe there was some. You mentioned the lack of communication between Cameron and Bocanegra. I think you've got to throw Tim Howard in that mix. I don't know what that's about, but they definitely had some kind of mixed signals on that particular ball. There's no reason that Carlos Ruiz should be in one-on-one with Tim Howard with a ball that comes in that deep. I mean, it put some pressure on him, cut down that angle. By the time Tim Howard came off his line, it was too late. And like I said, Carlos Ruiz, he knows how to finish. And I'm seeing, our boy Ivis is online on Twitter saying, "Hey, somebody bring him back to MLS. He may be worth a punt at this point. Just give him $100,000 or whatever."
Is he worth everything else that he brings along with that finishing ability, though? That's my thing about him.
I'm just saying that he loves to dive so much that he did it even after he scored.
That's the joke. El Pescadito loves to take a dive, and even after he scored, he goes down, and it was so quick, and I think that our saving grace there, Jared, was that they had the whole game after the Ruiz goal to figure it out, to come back. Now, I'm not sure that any of us thought, okay, they're really going to be able to compose themselves and create enough attack to make that goal not mean a whole lot. But they've done it, and 3-1 is considering you gave up a Guatemala goal. 3-1 is about the best scoreline you could hope for after 45 minutes of play.
Real quick, can a homie get a Hercules drop?
I thought I was gonna do that. Based
Here's
on
the thing. Let's not forget. At the time of the game when the U.S. is down 1-0 and needs something to happen, Carlos Ruiz works his butt off, earns the corner kick, running down the ball. Dude, what did I say?
So you say Carlos Ruiz.
Oh, sorry. Hercules Gomez runs down that ball and makes something out of nothing. Wins the corner kick that ends up getting the U.S. back in this game. That's why Hercules Gomez is on the field.
Just area code 410 is on the air. Just 1 second. Somebody said to me on Twitter, imagine Jermaine Jones in this game with Carlos Ruiz. That is a recipe for disaster. Area code 410. Who's this?
Hi, this is Julio.
Hey, Julio. What's up, man?
Yeah, I was really nervous before the game, but now I feel so much better. And I hope in the second half that the U.S. to continue to attack.
Yeah,
and not sit back.
We want to see them push. I think that's a big thing. And hopefully Jurgen Klinsmann tells them, look, there is no reason to sit back now. All you're going to do is invite Guatemala to squeak one in behind a defense that's not entirely confident at the moment. The best defense they have, Jared, is to continue to hold the ball and create chances and make Guatemala sit back because they're afraid of giving up more goals. The thing that we should talk about here is that while this game is going on, Jamaica is in a fight to try to make the hex as well. And last time I saw, Jamaica has actually moved ahead of Guatemala in terms of the standings based on goal differential. Guatemala's got reason to push here. So if you want to keep Guatemala on their back foot, if you want to prevent them from getting good chances, you've got to keep the ball. You've got to pass it around. You've got to create your own chances.
That's why the best defense right now is 77% per possession that the U.S. has in the first half.
Area code 562, who's this?
Byron?
Hey, what's up, Byron?
I think that our defense today is really sloppy. What do you guys think?
Really sloppy?
Look, sloppy enough that it causes concern, and that's enough. I mean, that you should not come out in the first 5 minutes, whatever. When did they score that goal? It was the first 5 minutes.
5th or 6th minute, yeah.
Yeah, you should not come out in the first 6 minutes and have to deal with being a goal down. It can't at home in front of that crowd with everything that's on the line here. You cannot do that. And I'm ready. I was ready to skewer Klinsmann for not having them prepared. I mean, it's on the players. It's on Bocanegra. It's on Cameron. It's on Howard. But I was ready to skewer Klinsmann for not having them properly focused on what the one major threat. I mean, Bocanegra probably knows. He's been through it. Jeff Cameron getting an education in it. Tim Howard definitely knows. So you put it on the players. But Klinsmann's got to be, his job as a coach is to say, hey, the one responsibility you have is making sure Carlos Ruiz doesn't get in behind.
Yep, that's fair.
Really weapon they have, and he won't have pay on you,
Yeah. So, I don't know what the second half holds in terms of changes, Jared. We know we'll get some. I don't think he's going to change anything at halftime. You don't have a reason to necessarily.
I think about 15 minutes to go, you see an Alan Gordon in this game. Someone can hold the ball up, retain possession, battle that back line, stretch the field a bit. I think that's going to be a good thing. Maybe you see a Kyle Beckerman to kind of do some mop-up duty in this game as well.
Yeah, from Francisco Perry on Twitter, I'm done with Bocanegra. Gets burned too much. Can't pass out of pressure. Time for him to go. Any thought that maybe Carlos Bocanegra's time as the U.S. men's national team starter is coming to an end, Jared? And who do you?
I don't see the player that's pushing him out. Clarence Goodson's close, but he's not quite there. I don't think.
Let me throw a pair at you, and maybe you don't want to blood them in the hex, and I don't know what you do if maybe you try to give them some friendly time together. But Omar Gonzalez has got to get in this team at some point. I mean, I know we're focused on tonight, and he's not in this team, but Omar Gonzalez needs a shot at the national team at some point.
Okay, here's my thing on that. I feel he's obviously very green at the national team level, so it kind of makes me feel like he can't participate for a while as a starting role or anything like that. But then I look at the streaking star of the career that is Jeff Cameron with the national team. How quickly has he gone from possible just camp cupcake type player to fixture in the middle of this back? So people that say that Clemson's not bringing in youth or not embracing youth, look at Jeff Cameron, okay, and ask yourself, can Omar Gonzalez reach that same height?
Jeff Cameron not exactly young by traditional.
I mean, but went from not part of this team to an essential part of it very quickly.
Obviously, the argument against putting Omar Gonzalez in the team next to Jeff Cameron is that they're both green. And Jeff Cameron is getting his education now, and maybe he becomes a veteran presence down the line when you get closer to the World Cup in 2014. But for the time being, Jeff Cameron is green, and you're going to bring in another green player and play him next to that guy. I don't know if that's the right move. It's good to have a veteran influence, but the question is whether or not Carlos Bocanegra's veteran influence outweighs his decline in skills, which I think is definitely there. I mean, he can't help it. The guy's over 30 years old. It happens to everybody. Every code 541. Who's this?
Hey, this is Eric from Oregon.
What's up, Eric?
Hey, it seems that Graham Zuzi just doesn't seem to be having one of his best games with passing one. Now, what do you think with getting Sasha Question in there? Do you think we'll see him as a sub?
You know what, Jared? Are you convinced? I like Sasha, and we've certainly led the Are You Even Watching campaign just based on Sasha's time in Belgium, but are you convinced that Sasha Question is as good with the ball as Graham Zusi? Meaning, does he make less mistakes than? Because at this point, this game is it's about creating an attack, sure, but it's also about limiting mistakes, so not letting Guatemala back in.
First of all, I want to kind of clarify that I don't think Graham Zusi's having a bad game. Do you?
No, I don't either. I actually disagree with that caller on that point.
I think he's having a good game. And so, in terms of Sasha Kleshtin, what's Kleshtin going to bring you that Zusi doesn't? I think Kleshtin's going to bring you a more calm presence on the ball than Zusi, but I don't think he's going to push and get wide the same way that Zusi does. Right. And I think Zusi serves a better ball, to be honest with you.
It seems to be that Sasha Kleshtin has turned into the type of player who's looking backwards first, who's looking for the safe pass first, so actually I answered
which is good in this game right now to finish off this game. That's an aspect of probably be good.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, and I actually, like I presented the question whether or not Sasha Kleshtin was better with the ball, protecting the ball, than Graham Zusi. The premise was faulty because I do think that Sasha Kleshtin has become something more of a conservative player than we used to see him in MLS. He's not that same guy anymore, and maybe maybe you do like that idea in terms of protecting a lead, but at least not now, not yet. And I don't know that Klinsmann will burn all three. I think you're right about Alan Gordon. I think that makes sense in the last 15 minutes of the game. Whether or not he makes a change in the midfield, I don't know. What do you make of Danny Williams to this point?
Loving Danny Williams right now. His comfortability on the ball. He's just basically a nice little pinwheel in there. It's amazing when you watch Danny Williams on the ball. Watch how a simple turn of his hips changes how the defender has to play him and how he opens up passing lanes. Very smart. His first touch on the ball is always on the half turn, turning into directions that's opening up parts of the field. It's very, very intelligent player. My opinion, Danny Williams has so flip-flop just in basis of watching him play in the center versus out wide. It's like watching a guy play where he's naturally supposed to be.
Yeah, winding down the halftime show. Phone number is 201-430-2378 if you want to get in with some last second thoughts here. What about Joe Corona? Saw some mentions of him on Twitter. We talked about him in the pregame. Would love to see him get some experience here. Does this game make sense for Joe Corona down the stretch?
3-1. 88th minute, you bring Joe Corona in, get him cap tied, and also he can help settle the ball down. I think if you have that luxury where you have an extra sub available late in this game and it's still a 2-goal game, you bring in a Joe Corona for a lot of different reasons.
So you've got all three. You've got Gordon, Corona. Are you making any changes at the back? Any reason to?
I don't think so. I think you see Beckerman is going to help the back line more than anything. By putting Beckerman in there to give a little buffer to that back line, I think the back line goes the distance.
Well, who comes off for Beckerman then? And who comes off for Corona?
Well, given what I know, what we've seen about Klinsmann, he seems to not take Danny Williams off the game early last game in favor of Jermaine Jones. I think you might see that same type of move this game.
Okay, so
or maybe even you get Graham Zusi out and you go a little bit more conservative.
All right, let me pose this question to you. We're staring at another 45 in order to guarantee a spot in the Hex, and that's job done if they get there. Does just this, if the scoreline stays 3-1, Jared, and we don't see anything outrageous in the second half, Guatemala doesn't really threaten on a regular basis, the Americans create some chances but maybe not score, does Jurgen Klinsmann all the pressure off of him before we get out of here?
All the immediate pressures off him, yes. Then after that, it's a matter of can he critique himself over the next couple months.
Second half kickoff coming up. Best Soccer Show back after the game. Join us then, post-game live. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois back on the post-game show for the Best Soccer Show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV, NASNradio.com. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix the music. There's a little long intro there. We'll fix it in post. Yeah. Guys, finishes off a 3-1 victory. They're on to the hexagonal. All the things are good in U.S. soccer land. Jared, are we feeling pretty happy? I mean, no goals in the second half.
No, but that's okay. The U.S. proved that when need be, they can keep a scoreline. That's what I see from that game. And not just that, it wasn't like nail biting, keeping a score line. They dominated that half, moved the ball well, possessed the ball well, they kept the score line clean in like one of the best ways possible.
I except for Timmy Howard being a little dodgy for whatever reason, and that kind of bugged me. But other than that, I'm not sure I can pick anything apart from that second half. It was the second half of a team that's in control of a game, knows they're in control of the game, doesn't necessarily need to go all out to get a goal, but created chances. Probably could have gotten one or two more, and maybe in a slightly different mindset, they do get those.
It was a level of ease that I've been wanting from this team for most of this qualifying round. There was never a time where it seemed an easy game. This one felt easy aside from the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, aside from the Carlos Ruiz goal, it felt fairly simple, and that's the kind of performance we want to see. The phone lines are open 201-430-2378 to get in with your post-game thoughts. Feeling good at the moment? Are you backing off? If you had some Klinsmann criticism, are you backing off a little bit? We got Joe Corona a cap. Sasha Kleshtin showed up to calm things down, as Jared suggested might happen. Area code 541. Who's this?
Hey guys, it's Casey. You got to give credit for Klinsmann for realizing that Eddie Johnson can play out on the wide. And another thing I wanted to say is I agree with Jason. I'm really looking forward to Omar Gonzalez getting integrated to this team going into the next year's Hex. All right, thanks, guys.
No problem. Thanks for the call. The EJ thing is a talking point. I mean, we came out of Antigua and Barbuda with the EJ having both goals and the winning goal and showing something that maybe we haven't seen. Certainly we haven't seen in a national team shirt in a very, very long time. And now he works in with this team in this game when they must win. Well, they must draw, but we didn't know quite how the night would play out. And the flip side of this, Jared, Guatemala's gone. Jamaica makes up the goal differential, beating Antigua and Barbuda 4-1 with
two goals from Dane Richards.
2 goals from Dane Richards. Whitecaps fans wondering where that is for them. Area code 619. Who's this?
Hey, how you guys doing, Enrique? Post game. Glad Corona showed up. You can see immediately his offensive skills, and unfortunately, I can't believe Dempsey dived on that lead-up play. All those passes with triangle passes from Corona, and Dempsey ruins it.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, they were getting some nice triangles there, and at the top of the Guatemala box was in the game with Joe Corona. Joe Corona got the 5 minutes and actually made an impact in some small way.
It's kind of crazy. I was telling you and I were talking as the game was finishing up. Thing I noticed about Joe Corona in the game, pointing to where he wants the ball, showing that these veteran guys, hey, I want the ball and I want it here, showing to the right spots. I mean, granted, it's just a couple minutes, but the couple minutes the guy was in the game, he looked confident. And not just that, but those players around him were respecting and giving him the ball. A lot of times what you see with a young player coming in like that, they don't trust him at first. Joe Corona was getting every ball he was asking for.
Yes, absolutely. Stepped up when the moment came, when he needed to make his first appearance for the national team, and did a job. All over the field, guys doing jobs tonight. Maybe if we were going to do a player rating thing, which I don't think either one of us are player rating kind of guys. We know some guys that are really into doing that stuff. It's not my bag. But if you were going to do them, who's who's your top guy and who gets
top guy today, and I'm not ashamed to say it at all, Eddie Johnson. I think Eddie Johnson had the best game on the field of anyone out there. I think Michael Bradley, Graham Zusi really close in behind. Even though Dempsey had 2 goals on the day, I still think those other guys probably put more out there and were more consistent on the field. But Eddie Johnson, I'm loving what this guy's giving the U.S. It's giving him something that they haven't seen in a while. Fast-paced, slashing attack. I mean, I don't know. I kind of equate him almost to like how I see Darlington Nagbe playing in Portland. Except Eddie Johnson's doing that at the national team level. I think it's really, really a lot of confidence coming from Eddie Johnson.
Joe Patrick on the air. Who's how you doing, Joe? Sorry about that.
I'm doing well. I had sort of several points to make, but I guess I'll just sort of get on the back of Jared there and say that I thought EJ looked really good. He looks like a surefire call up for me. I mean, for future national teams. I mean, I don't see how you could not call him up after what he's done in the last couple games.
Obviously, if he keeps playing well for Seattle and the timing makes sense, and you're going to have games out of season and that kind of thing. But I don't see why EJ is not. And this is the thing. This is the revelation coming out of this is. You have another wide player, and it's not somebody we expected. And Jurgen Klinsmann deserves all the credit in the world for finding a guy that can play there and be effective. Area code 512, who's this?
Hey, it's Dan.
Hey, Dan. What's up?
Hey.
Dan? Seem to have lost.
On Friday,
Go ahead.
I didn't listen to the whole show, so I can't say what you said throughout the time. But you guys were so negative and ready to stack Klinsmann. Where do you stand tonight?
Well, look.
It's just one other game. They play.
Everybody deserves to. Coaches deserve to be breaking up a little bit there. Coaches deserve to be judged game to game, Jared. I mean that's the job. You get judged on your last game. That's what it calls for. And we sit here and we pontificate, and yeah, sometimes we say stuff that's kind of out there a little bit, and we're drawing conclusions based on one small sample size. But when you're talking about what is what's a crucial game that they have to get a win out of just to make sure they come into the last game not needing to stress so much for the win, there was reason to give Jurgen Klinsmann some criticism for Antigua and Barbuda. Now,
without a doubt, I want to know what thing did the caller think that Jurgen Klinsmann did well on Friday? Eddie Johnson, the move to put Eddie Johnson in that place is the only thing I can think of that Klinsmann did well on Friday.
There were we talked about the Jermaine Jones issue, and I saw a lot of that on Twitter. Like the sentiment was, thank God Jermaine Jones wasn't available for this game. Klinsmann would have shoved him in there at some point, and that's the kind of thing that we come down on Klinsmann for, his consistent errors of judgment when it comes to player selection. And I think tactically he's shown some understanding of what he's got to work with, but it just doesn't seem to happen fast enough for me tonight. The goal is what the goal is. It's a bad defensive play by Bocanegra and Cameron. They come back and they find a way to score, and the players that he put on the field worked effectively together. So you give Jurgen Klinsmann some credit. And in the second half, it's not like they took their foot off the pedal. They were pushing. They were pushing in a more controlled manner, I think. But they were still pushing, and so you give Jurgen Klinsmann credit for not backing off in the second half, going into a shell. And that's what we want to see. We want to see proactive play. It's Guatemala. It's not Mexico, but it's still progress. Area code 972. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will.
Hey, Will.
Hey, so long live attacking soccer, right?
Yeah.
Finally, I get to see my attacking soccer that I've been complaining about for nonstop. And I think Jared is spot on about EJ. The impact of Eddie Johnson is so crucial. How he held up on the wide plays and threatened the defenders to make them challenge him. So I think Jared was so right on EJ, and then Clint Dempsey finishing. That's what he does.
Yeah, we want to see. Sorry about that. Well, we want to see Clint Dempsey finish, and when he's getting goals, the United States is much better off. I mean, that's such an obvious statement. I don't even know if I want to say it, but it's the truth. Area code 202. Who's this?
Hey guys, it's Rick.
Hey, what's up, Rick? Rick, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. Oh, just that I think the most reassuring thing about tonight's match is like possession guys like Zusi and Kleshin, who we can play out on the wing and trust with possession, especially with the injuries to Donovan,
Yeah, Donovan and Shea and guys we thought they would miss, and I still think that they did miss against Antigua and Barbuda. It would have been nice to have Landon Donovan.
I think the reason we thought they'd missed Breck Shea more is because we didn't know the type of way that Klinsmann was going to use Eddie Johnson. I think that you saw Eddie Johnson play the Breck Shea role better than Breck Shea plays it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
Just that, obviously we're going to need a transition on the back line at right wing and possibly at left center back with Boca. Be interesting to see, when he starts working that and when Klinsmann starts working that in, whether that's something we're going to see, in Camp Cupcake or the early Hex matches, or whether he's going to wait till the Gold Cup or something like that.
Kind of unfortunate that Klinsmann's going to have to hit the reset button on the right back thing. You could see that Timothy Chandler's being groomed for that position, was going to be the natural fit at that position, and now he's going to have to try to start all over. But he's got 4 or 5 months here to try to figure out what that future is going to be. But luckily, Trundle's been healthy. Doesn't look like he's falling off on pace or anything like that. Trundle's still going to be your future back in World Cup as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah, Trundle has his moments, but for the most part, he's very steady, very solid. Why would you take him out of the lineup unless you absolutely have to? It would have been nice to have Timmy Chandler ready to step right in. Timmy's apparently not having the best run of form in Germany at the moment. He's very, very far away from the German.
Karma, dude. It's karma.
It's not karma. He's
karma.
He's very far away from the German national.
You don't do the U.S. dirty, baby. Hey, this just in. I see this out there right now. Roger Bennett from Men in Blazers, ESPN FC, saying that Clint Dempsey dived into the fans, grabbed the huge deuce head, and danced with it on the field.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now I got to see video of that. That would cap off the night. Like now looking, the thing about the job is done. This part of the qualification is over. You got through this round. You go into the hexagonal, and do we know that all the teams? Mexico's in, Honduras is in, Panama's in, Jamaica's in, the U.S. is in, and I'm missing one. Is Costa Rica in or out? Did they make it? I have to catch up.
Costa Rica, El Salvador. I can't remember who the other last one was.
Well, if Costa Rica didn't make the hex, that's a big deal, and that's a giant drop off for Costa Rica. Jamaica, Panama, Honduras, Mexico. That's 4. The United States is 5. Who's the 6th one?
Jamaica. Oh, sorry, Jamaica's there. Never mind.
Costa Rica or El Salvador. Thank you very much. Is that game not played yet? Is that game ongoing? Is there? Most likely Costa Rica. All right, so we don't really have all the information yet. We don't know quite what the hex is going to shape out. We know most of it. We don't know exactly.
Credit to one player on the field tonight. A lot of talk about Fabian Johnson going to be out. Who's going to fill that role? I think Michael Parkhurst did a fabulous job at left back tonight. Not his normal position. I think he gave the U.S. exactly what they needed for that position. Got forward, initiated attack, got Eddie Johnson in a good position, and didn't get exposed on the left.
No, I think Michael Parkhurst did exactly what he was asked to do tonight, and there weren't a whole lot of nervy moments where you thought, okay, well, he's out of his depth over there. It was very very controlled. I saw him, ball on his left foot a couple of times, trying to switch it up and cut in because he just can't get that ball in effectively on his left foot. But you're willing to put up with that when you have no other natural left back. I mean, it's not like Fabian Johnson is a natural fit at that position either. He just happens to be a very, very good player who can handle the job.
Surprised Alan Gordon didn't get in this game, though. Kind of surprised.
Yeah. No Alan Gordon. Area code 541. Who's this?
Hey, it's Eric. Just 2 things. First, I wanted to say you guys love the show and love being able to listen to you guys after the game. But thoughts on Jeff Cameron in the long-term center back situation for the guys, and if you think that's going to work for him in the long term.
Is Jeff Cameron a long-term solution at center back, Jared? Is there any reason?
I don't see. There's no one pushing him out right now, and you could say Omar Gonzalez might be able to make that push soon, but I think that pushes more towards Bocanegra. I don't think that pushes towards Cameron. Yeah. The only thing I see holding Cameron back right now is if he continues to play right back at Stokes. How does that affect his preparation to be ready to play center back at the national team?
The issue is that we continue to talk about how Jeff Cameron is being pushed into duty at Stoke in different positions that are not where he naturally fits. I mean, we obviously, because he's a center back with the national team, we obviously want him to play center back at Stoke. That's not working out. He's played some midfield. Now he's playing right back. What is his future there? And does that directly affect how he develops as a national team center back? Is he a good enough player to not be a regular center back, step into the national team, and be good, be effective, be solid? We know what we're getting. We're getting good defensive play out of Jeff Cameron. Area code 410, who's this?
Hi, this is Julio.
Hey, Julio.
So I was happy with the second half. I wanted to continue the discussion about the center back. I mean, when it's a good time to bring in Omar, if you can talk, this January, this Camp Cupcake, but those are not competitive matches, and you really want to be experimenting with new center backs during the hexagonal.
It's a very good question. When do you
Camp Cupcake, Camp Strudel? That's going to be the spot for Omar Gonzalez. And then if you can get him into that camp, and if you can get him some run, you can give him some play. You're not necessarily throwing an inexperienced back into the hexagonal round. You're getting someone at least. That's his only chance right now. That's his only chance to come into this less green. I think Omar Gonzalez is going to be called upon before World Cup 2014. The matter is, how much time can you get him with the national team? How much experience can you get him? That's why more than anyone else in January, Omar Gonzalez is the most important player in January.
Oh, he's the A1 most important player in January. No, not any of those. Who's
needed more?
No. I tend to agree with you. I'm just setting it out there. The issue is
you can make the case for someone like Josh Gatt, maybe, but I think Josh Gatt's shown enough recently at a good level that you feel comfortable bringing him in. What he does, I think, is going to translate well to the national level. Center back is chemistry. Center back is preparation. There's a lot of stuff that goes into there, and you got to make sure that he's on the right frame of mind with Jurgen Klinsmann.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, it'll help if Omar finishes this season strong with LA. No reason to expect that he won't. And then you move on into calendar year 2013. You take a look at what you got. and you start kind of reassembling the pieces. It's not like Jurgen Klinsmann's going to take this exact team, the team that beat Guatemala, and roll them straight over into the Hex. It's not going to work that way. There's going to be some pieces, and as I mentioned before, there's still injury concerns with this team, and there are still. I mean, now, and who knows how those will sort out and who gets pushed out. You may find a player, and I don't think it'll happen. We all say that Eddie Johnson has worked himself into a permanent spot, semi-permanent for the foreseeable future in this team because of the way he's played in the last 2 games. But that's not to say that somebody else catches fire. Josh Gett pushes him out because he's a natural winger and
here's what I want to say. The 2 players you lost to injury this camp, Donovan and Shea, had really good replacements from the people that just stepped in. Has Eddie Johnson done enough to displace Breck Shea? And B, has Zuzi done enough to make it a conversation at least that does Donovan walk back into the starting lineup of this team? Has Zuzi done that well?
I'm not going to back down from this. Landon Donovan is a starter the second he is completely healthy. I just cannot believe that there's a situation.
So he needs to lose his spot on the field, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying he either needs to be injured. If he's not going to play, it's either because he's injured or he is literally so ineffective that it makes no sense to keep him in there. And I just don't see that happening yet. And I don't force, even if I didn't believe that they're better with Landon Donovan than they are with Graham Zusi, I would say that based on who Jurgen Klinsmann is and how much respect he has for Landon Donovan, you're not going to see a situation where Klinsmann's going to bench him unless it's absolutely necessary. That's just my opinion.
No, that's a fair opinion. I just think that Zuzi's made the conversation a lot closer than it was a month ago. I mean, a month ago, you're not talking Zuzi or Donovan is even close. I think it's a lot closer now than it is to a month ago, without a doubt. And who would know? We're talking winger. Who's going to give width? Who's going to give speed? We've been talking about that for months. And who would have thought it was going to be Eddie Johnson? So I just think that those 2 things have really shorn up well for the U.S. national team over the last month.
Here's your Hex schedule. I mean, obviously, actual dates, who plays who, are to be determined. We start up in March 22nd through 26th. You get 2 games in each window. March date, June date, March date, 2 June dates. Is that right? You have this right? A September date and October date, or October window. March window, 2 June windows. A September winter and October winter. Okay, that makes sense, right? Summer soccer there with the qualifier. So you're looking at it's not an immediate turnaround, but it's not like it's not going to be March by the time we wake up. You know what I mean? We're going to blink and it'll be March, and
I'm telling you, that's why that January camp is really important to this team right now, because there's a lot of positions that are up for debate right now. A lot more than were up for debate, I think, last time going through this process. So the January camp, big for players like, hopefully like a Pontius, hopefully for a Gat, hopefully for Omar Gonzalez, hopefully for a Beasler. Let's be honest. I think producer Trevor threw Beasler's name out there a while ago. I think Beasler's done enough to at least deserve a look.
What? Let me think back to the 2009 hexagonal and what Bob Bradley did with the January camp. I don't directly recall. Do you remember Camp Cupcake in 2009? Was there a different kind of flavor to it, considering what was on the table for the national team, or did Bob Bradley treat it just like he had the other, every other Camp Cupcake, where it was, Scandinavian guys, MLS guys?
I'm trying to remember if that was the camp. If I'm thinking correctly, there was a 2009 Camp Cupcake in LA where Dax McCarty was your starting captain on the game against a Scandinavian team. So if that's the case, and that's 2009, like I think it was, then that kind of tells you the whole story right there. If Dax McCarty's your captain on the day.
I hate to do this, but was that the same Camp Cupcake? Was Jimmy Conrad still around, and did he get called in and pick up a red card in like one of those games
for the first minutes? Yeah, but here's the thing: I don't think that's the same one, because Jimmy Conrad would have the captain's armband in that camp.
That's probably no. I'm not saying that game necessarily, but
if my timeline's wrong, yeah, it's either the one that Conrad had got the red card, or it's the one that Dax McCarty was the captain in. I can't remember exactly.
But you get 2 games during camp.
Either way, though, it's not a FIFA mandated international date, so you're not going to get your big guys. It's going to be smaller fringe guys. I think Steven Lenhart gets a chance in a game in a camp like that. I think Alan Gordon is a starter in a camp like that.
Probably. Yeah, probably. I think it depends on how he finishes. I mean, you're not looking at Alan Gordon as a future prospect, but maybe he serves some purpose in 2013 as as a participant off the bench in the Hex at some point. I mean, you got a bunch of windows, you got to fill spots. You need guys to come off the bench and make a difference. Maybe that's Alan Gordon's role, and maybe Camp Cupcake or Camp Strudel is the setting off of that process for him. The phone line's still open, 201-430-2378. We'll go for another 10 minutes or so.
Let's talk about the two odd man out right now. Okay, so he doesn't bring in Josie Altidore, doesn't bring in Terrence Boyd. All of a sudden, the goals are coming a bit, and it's looking good up front for the U.S. national team. I don't think this small little vacuum of 2 games is enough to extinguish those 2 players, but once again, like we were talking about with Donovan, we're talking about with Shea, there's a lot more argument for these positions than there was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Sure. I mean, just like with Landon Donovan, I think Josie Altidore, maybe not an entrenched starter, because obviously Klinsmann has shown some propensity to downgrade Altidore based on whatever it is he does with the national team or whatever it is he doesn't do with the national team. But I imagine that when Josie Altidore has proven himself to, see, that's the thing. When is Josie Altidore going to get a chance to prove to Jurgen Klinsmann that he can do? Is the message over? Is it sent? And next time when we come around to March or whenever the first friendly is of 2009, I don't know what they have any windows there, that he gets a call up and he's back in this team?
Here's the thing. What can Josie do to prove to Klinsmann that he's made a change? The only thing he can do is keep scoring goals, but that wasn't good enough to get him caught in now. There's got to be some kind of conversation off the field, I think, between these 2 guys that puts them on the same frame mentally. To show Josie Altidore needs to show Klinsmann somehow. I'm not sure how he does it outside of just performance on the field. There's something else Klinsmann wants. How does he show him that from an ocean away and a continent away? I'm not sure.
I think we're remembering our Camp Cupcakes way wrong. Maybe you were right about Dax. I'm not sure. But the Camp Cupcake game, and there was one of them against Sweden in 2009, that was Sasha Kleshtin's hat trick game. That was that's when Sasha was getting ready to be.
I was there for that.
Were you there? Was it a virtuoso performance by Sasha Kleshtin?
I mean, if you remember correctly, that was when Sasha Kleshtin was one of the best players in the league for Chivas USA. He was in a great reign of form between those 2 seasons, and it's a different Sasha Kleshtin than we see now. That player that played for Chivas USA is a completely different player than the one that plays for Anderlecht now. The player that played for Chivas USA was much more Breck Shea-like, whereas now he's really moved into more of a, I want to say like a Feilhaber-like player.
Well, I don't know that he's quite failed. I think he's in between those 2. He's not Shea because he's not. He's not willing to take guys on anymore. It doesn't look like to me. I mean, some nice intricate passing, some stuff at the top of the box toward the end of that game against Guatemala tonight. But I saw a couple of moments where I'm thinking old Sasha Kleshtin goes for it, takes a guy on, makes a move towards goal, where he's looking for an outlet, or he's cutting the ball back around to cycle it through again. And this is what he's become. That's what you're talking about. 2009 Sasha Kleshtin is much different than 2012 Sasha Kleshtin, and even bigger than the Eddie Johnson disparity that we were talking about earlier, because obviously EJ has just grown a little bit, and it shouldn't have taken him as long as it did. But now that he's here, he's showing that maturity plus his talent.
I don't want to say that Sasha's game is worse now or anything like that. I don't think that's the case at all. No. His game is more mature, and it's different because partially that's what his club has asked him to play. So I think that's why he's transitioned that way. If you think about it, I mean, think personally Jeff Cameron. I mean, how many different times has his team asked him to play a different way, and he's taken the mold of that? I think Sasha Kleshtin's he's evolved into a different type of player because that's what his club's asked him to play.
Absolutely. A couple of thoughts from Twitter. From Zach, I think we should leave Bocanegra off the roster for the friendly against Russia and bring in Omar Gonzalez. I actually forgot about that friendly coming up in November. Is that announced officially by U.S. Soccer?
Hold on. One thing we got to talk about in relation to that, if the Galaxy is still in the postseason, there's no chance that's happening.
Well, that's true. November is obviously still MLS playoff time, and you're not going to get any playoff players removed from their team. So I would very seriously doubt Omar Gonzalez is going to be in that team for Russia. Even if it's a FIFA date. There's a FIFA date in November. I can't keep track anymore. Why would there be a friendly if there's no FIFA date?
Even if there is, I know MLS is playing probably every weekend of November right now. So it's just a matter of what, in terms of MLS players and what MLS players are going to contribute to that Russia game, it's going to be an impact of, are the RSL players still in the playoffs? Are the Galaxy guys still in the playoffs? Who's going to be still playing, rounding out their MLS seasons? Certain guys, take for example, Graham Zusi, he may not be available as well. So as much as Klinsmann would want to test his depth, probably of a lot of the MLS type players, that's probably a chance for them to kind of break in. And we've seen the effect or the imposition that MLS players have put on these last 2 games. They've been the story. The MLS guys have been the story. So it's unfortunate that they may not have a chance to continue that story until January, because a lot of these guys are playing for good teams in MLS that could still be playing playoff ball.
Right. Well, I'm just looking forward to a game where I don't have to stress. November 14th for that friendly. It'd just be nice to go into a game and say, all right, look, he can tinker all he wants. It's Russia. That game's not going to be in Moscow where they usually play their national team games. It's going to be somewhere else. At least that's the rumor. So I don't know exactly what we should be expecting out of that game. But now, the friendlies throughout the summer, we put a lot into that, because qualifying wasn't done yet. And it's not done now. And we want to see progress towards 2013. But we've got a long way to go. I know said March will be here before but we've got a long way to go before March. So
here's what I want to see for that Russia game. I want to see Joe Corona. I want to see Mix Discarud. I want to see Josh Gatt. I want to see those guys that have been fringe for so long given an opportunity to say, hey, listen, all the strings are detached. There's no consequence if we win or lose this game. Show us what player you are. Show us if you can play within these confines that we're trying to do with this program. Let that be the game for these guys. I think that's really what I would like to see out of it.
Speaking of Breck Shea, who obviously got called in, turned out he wasn't healthy enough, went back to Dallas. I saw some report. He's basically falling apart at this point in his season. I saw some report out of Dallas that Breck has a hip injury and a knee injury and an ankle injury. And maybe I'm not being. I know it's definitely in there. In fact, here's a tweet from Breck just now, or a little while ago, while the game was still going on. Just finished getting 2 injections in my groin, leaving hospital, getting ready to watch the rest of the game.
Hot groin injection.
Breck's got some healing to do if he's going to feature in the national team.
Everyone talked about last year. That guy had to put a lot of minutes on that body last year. Is he feeling the effects of it this year? I don't know, but he played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, look, he's actually a perfect candidate for that Russia friendly, provided FC Dallas doesn't qualify for the postseason, and they're not looking good for it right now. So he would be a guy, if he was healthy, and let's hope he can get back to full strength in time. He's a guy I would love to see on the field in Russia.
That would even give him about 2 weeks or so to rehab if Dallas doesn't make the playoffs before that game. So it's a nice little break right there where he could rest up and hopefully get healthy.
He almost kind of looks Russian a little bit, doesn't he?
He got a little Drago in him, doesn't he? He's got a little bit of Drago in him.
I think he's got some Drago in there. The Russians would probably love him. All right, we are getting ready to wrap this up. Thanks for listening to the Best Soccer Show. We'll be back on the weekend, skipping the normal Wednesday night show. Make sure you guys go and nominate us for a Stitcher Award. We're on Stitcher. That's one of the places that you can listen to NASN Radio and the podcast and all of the NASN podcasts. If you go to, we'll put the link up on the Facebook page and a bunch of other places. We tweet it out all the time. You go and nominate us for sports commentary. Make soccer, give soccer some bump, some love in that competition. I think, whether or not do we deserve it? I think we deserve it. But just get soccer's name out there. Do it for soccer. I'm gonna make it bigger.
Do it for the boy. Let's hear it for the boy. Hey, just heads up to those guys that are listening live right now. Yanks Abroad podcast coming up next live right afterwards. Going to be talking about a lot of these guys, maybe a lot of the guys we just mentioned going into that Russia camp right there. So stick around if you want some more live U.S. national team and Yanks Abroad talk.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you on the weekend. All right, bye.